Well, let me tell you something, brother.
Snort, snort, snort.
Hogan, drip.
Snort, snort.
I got the drip. Go. Before we get to anything, all right, let's address the elephant in the room very, very briefly. All right.
That goddamn hideous shirt you've got on, dude, that thing looks awful. That's the type of shirt that your dad wears when he's about to go bowling. This dude was really at the store and saw that on the rack and went, oh yeah, that's it right there. And he's probably still wearing his Zelda jammy pants too. I know that small children aren't exactly the epitome of fashion sense, but even they do better than DSP at dressing themselves.
I've already told you guys this. I'm going to say it again. I'm not involving myself in any drama whatsoever. At all. All right? It's sad that I have to keep reiterating this.
But people are gonna keep sending it to you and keep talking about it because you do keep reiterating on it. I'm sure you guys saw the length of this video. This clip alone is something like 39 minutes long, not sped up. So when he says things like, I'm not going to address drama, I don't do drama content, he's straight lying in people's faces because he spent 39 minutes talking about nothing but drama as soon as the podcast started. It was the very first topic he wanted to get into.
Because every day, I get people who keep bringing up drama. Whether it's in my stream chat, whether it's they're sending me emails or video comments or tweeting me and saying drama, drama. Hey Phil, drama, 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 drama. Okay? It just seems like more and more people, all right, want to pull me into their drama for various reasons. And in reality, I am someone who, for the majority of the time that I made content on the internet, 15 years, I've tried to stay out of other people's drama.
Well, if that was really your goal and your intention over the past decade, then again, that title of a decade of failure is still accurate because you failed miserably at that. You take every opportunity that you can to not only name drop other content creators, but to shit on them while you're at it. And that's not just something that you've been doing recently. You did that way back in the day too, talking about PewDiePie and Toby Turner and iJustine. Some of those names aren't even relevant today. That's how far back these go. He's always had a problem with other content creators and their content, and he made that very clear, and he name drop them and again talk shit about them as long as he's been on YouTube.
I don't go on giant slam based content shows. I don't do giant react specials making fun of people. You know what I'm saying? Even the react stuff that I've done has been way more level-headed than most people. I'm not just sitting there laughing at someone's misfortunes. I'm trying to analyze what's going on and compare it to my own situation and maybe give some insight and advice. It's a little different than what a lot of other people do, right?
Yeah, DSP, you don't do all of those other forms of content that everybody else does. You know, the things that people actually find entertaining. Instead, you just bitch, moan, and complain about other people by yourself in the least entertaining way possible in these large rants. And any sort of insight or advice that you would try and offer to these people or give out to the public is absolutely useless anyway. Because not only are you a failed YouTuber, but you also have a horrible track record with actually dealing with the situation that you've been put in. I'd honestly go as far as to say that you're one of the worst to ever do it because you've squandered all of your money, every single opportunity that's ever been given to you, and you failed to network with anybody in the field. So who the hell would want advice from you?
Now, recently, there's been drama that people are trying to pull me into. All right? You guys don't even know, because here's the thing. I don't tell you guys because you don't need to know. But there is people out there who are constantly trying to pull me into drama on purpose because they feel that they can benefit from it, right? If Phil leaves a soundbite on his show, or if he brings something up, or, you know, just you know, what was it, yesterday? Someone had talked about this, a new documentary about me. And I'm like, well, I haven't seen it. I have no desire to see it, you know? And then someone says, well, the title of it is very negative. And I'm like, well, then, obviously, I'm not interested. It's the difference between someone trying to do, like, a neutral documentary or someone trying to get clickbait, right?
It's not exactly clickbait if it's an apt title name for the content that's in the video, though. If he's taking a look at your history on the internet, all of it has pretty much just been failures, then a decade of failures is exactly what the title of the video should be. I know you had some weird cope about the word failure not being an apt description of what you have going on, but that's just ignorant and you're fooling yourself. You're just being delusional.
So I don't know. I haven't seen it. I don't really care, right? I just don't. And actually, last night I was playing Mario, okay? And someone said to me, you know, that they had seen the documentary and they actually felt like, although there was a lot of making fun of me and stuff in it, that it was more level-headed and it was kind of fair. And I'm like, you know, that's nice that that's the case, that it's not someone just slamming me for 2 hours. At the same time, why does the title have to be clickbait?
It's not, but whatever.
Right? Because it's drama. Because that's what sells on YouTube. You need the clickbait drama to bring people to watch crap.
Okay, so he hasn't seen the documentary. He doesn't intend on watching it. He's not interested, doesn't really know anything about it. But he's saying that it had to have a clickbait title, in air quotes there. Note the air quotes, please. Had to have a clickbait title because that's the only way you can make people watch crap. So outright shitting on the documentary that he doesn't really know anything about or hasn't seen. Awesome, great. DS positivity for you folks. Because this is a no drama zone, obviously.
I'm sorry. It's just the case. It's the reason why you have entire channels on YouTube based on negative documentaries, and you have absolutely no YouTube channels based on 100% positive content.
And that's just outright a lie. There are plenty of YouTube channels where all they do is make positive content. And I'm not talking about DSP fake positivity. I'm talking about actual positivity. And while I'm sure there's a billion examples, the very first one that comes to my mind is the most obvious, in Mr. Beast. I can't think of one negative thing that Mr. Beast has ever put on his channel. Not that I watch Mr. Beast content because I'm definitely not his target demographic, but that man's nothing but a philanthropist who entertains children and does positive content.
Did you notice that? Did you ever notice that there's no flip side of that there's tons of drama, tons of negative stuff? There's no all positive stuff.
DSP, what about all of the channels on YouTube that aren't necessarily negative or positive and they just do like lore videos about like Elder Scrolls? What is that? I'd say if it had to go in one camp or the other, that would be positive content. It's just dudes talking about things that they enjoy, the lore of the universe, and other people enjoy the content. That's pretty positive, meaningful, and curated if you ask me. So this whole rant is just stupid right from the jump. You're off to a terrible start. You look dumb. Another example, what about all of those YouTube channels where they like give free haircuts to homeless people and they like listen to their life story while they do it and they upload it? That's pretty positive content. You're treating this homeless person like a human being, like they should be. You're listening to their story. They get to talk to somebody. They get a free haircut. You get to practice your craft. Sounds pretty positive, dude.
Because humans love drama, right? And it's sad, but that's just the case. So make it sound dramatic. Use clickbait. Say all negative things. Emphasize the negative. You know, that's what people do on YouTube, correct? And I've been around for 15 years. I get it. But that doesn't mean that I have to involve myself in it.
But you're the only person that's involving yourself in it. Because all you had to say was, I'm not interested in talking about that. Please don't talk about that in my chat or you will be removed. That's it. Took me 7 seconds to say that. The problem's dealt with. Anything further than that could be leaned in manual. But you're the guy who keeps going on these long tangents. You're the one who keeps inviting these people in and letting them know what you actually think while telling them that you don't actually care at all. And that's why they keep doing it, because they know they can bait more and more out of you the more and more that they do it. And it only riles you up more, so you say more and more flagrant things. You're your own worst enemy and everybody knows it but you.
Okay, especially when, as I've told you guys, and the people out there who want to pull me into their drama spheres, okay, will not believe the statement I'm about to say, okay? And that's fine because they don't have to, because I'm not saying it for them. I'm saying it for me. I am happier right now at this moment in my life than I have ever been before, okay? And I mean that.
Yeah, man, I'm sure you are. You've got more JPEGs of sweaty men than you've ever had in your entire life, and that's what makes you happy. You're also drinking copious amounts of alcohol, another thing that makes you very happy. And while yes, being happy should be one of your main goals in life, it's not exactly an indicator of whether you've succeeded or you've failed. Because there's quite a few things that you could get into that would make you happy in the moment, but leave you blacked out in a ditch, and that's not exactly what I would call success. So happiness isn't exactly the only indicator.
All right? Just because I used to be much bigger on YouTube, because I used to be synonymous with YouTube gaming and one of the biggest gamers on YouTube, and you would search for a new video game playthrough and DSP or DSP gaming would pop up.
See, and these are those delusions of grandeur that you're always going on about. Because while, yes, you used to be popular, you were never synonymous with YouTube gaming. I've said this before, I didn't even know who you were until 2015. I'd never heard of you, never heard the name Darkside Phil, never heard your voice. And I had been watching gaming YouTube videos since 2010. So at some point, apparently you were the hottest shit on the planet and I'd still never heard of you. So synonymous is not exactly the word that I would use.
Just because that doesn't happen anymore, doesn't mean I'm unhappy. Because I wasn't happy being popular. That wasn't what I actually wanted. You understand? When I was making YouTube videos back in the day, all right, the reason I was doing it is because I had passion and I wanted to share that passion with an audience, but I didn't take it seriously. You know, I made YouTube videos for 2.5 to 3 years before I ever monetized them.
That's only because you weren't allowed to monetize video game YouTube videos back then. Don't get on your high horse and act like you were doing something for the greater good and just giving people a content that they wanted for free. Because that's just not the case. If you could have monetized them, you would have. And as soon as you could monetize them, you did, and you took advantage of the system at that. So let's not sit here and pretend. Let's not lie. I got no respect for the lying.
Why? Because it was a fun hobby for me. I had passion for video games. I wanted people to see that. I liked seeing people enjoy me enjoying games. and sharing their own experiences and sharing their own passion for them as well. I liked that positive community that YouTube had when I started.
You can still have a positive YouTube community. Every time I go into my comment section, I'm delighted. Everybody is so nice. And I hope in saying that it doesn't invite any bad actors now. But for the most part, everybody is so pleasant and they always have so many nice things to say about everything. Well, everything except for you, that is. Couldn't imagine why that would be.
Now, what I saw over the years, that community went away. That positivity on YouTube turned into a toxic community of people who are just there to tear you down, people who are there to laugh at you rather than laugh with you. YouTube changed over the last 15 years.
You can say that all you want, but my audience loves to come by and laugh with me. It's like the only thing we do around here, I believe. I mean, yeah, we are laughing at you, but they're still laughing with me.
Those first 3 to 5 years were very positive, and the last 10 have just been a downhill climb, or I should say a downhill slope of a lot of toxic people flooding to the site. Now, during that time period, all right, I lost pretty much all of my popularity. But was it because I failed? Was it because I horribly screwed up? Or was it because I stayed true to myself and by design, I kept making the kind of content that I liked? And because of that, I fell out of prominence with what YouTube wanted.
No, it's because you failed. I mean, there was stream after stream from 2016 to 2021, where all he did was talk about how his numbers were constantly going down. He didn't know how he was going to be able to pay his bills. There was Save the House streams. There was Pay the Taxes streams. There was the Fired from Machinima arc. I'm not buying that any of those were pre-planned. I'm not buying that any of those were by design. You didn't do any of that on purpose. You can maybe get away with saying that it's because you stuck to your guns and did what you wanted to do, if by saying that you mean that the guns that you were sticking to were trash content, and that what's important to you and what's meaningful to you is the trash content that you continue to put out. Because if that's what you mean, then yeah, that's why you fell out of prominence, because you insist on putting out trash content that nobody wants to engage with, that nobody wants to watch, that nobody appreciates. And I know that I say nobody, and I don't mean that literally, because there's definitely some real dent heads out there. I mean, there's definitely more of them than you would think, but less than DSP hopes.
That's what happened. In the last 10 years, all right, I went from the guy who was top of the rung when it came to gaming to who's Darkside Phil? Oh, he's that guy who sucks at games. Let's all make fun of him. And then an obsessed community of people who just want to completely try to ruin my life to get lols out of it. Hence the lol cow community. As much as they like to call me a lol cow, they're the community of messed up people that are far more messed up than anything that I've ever said or done in my career. Okay?
Look, there's no denying that when it comes to lol cows, there's definitely some degenerates that keep up and keep track of these people. But DSP, most of your detractors are totally normal human beings who just like to either mess with you or just keep tabs on you because you're so weird. But most detractors at this point are totally normal people who just like to make fun of you on the internet. And I don't actually think that there's anything wrong with that at all. I mean, obviously, I don't think that there's anything wrong with it.
Just the fact of the things that they do, and they think that that's justifiable, right? So here's the thing. Am I much less popular today than I was 10 years ago? Absolutely. No, I don't even get not even close to 1 million views a month anymore across all my channels. I don't even get 1 million views. I'm at like 600,000 views, something like that. I mean, I don't look at it that often, but it doesn't really matter to me either. You know what I mean? Like, for me, it's not a measure of popularity. It's a measure of enjoyment, and if what I'm doing has meaning for my audience and being okay with what I'm doing. You know what I mean?
But your main goal isn't to be entertaining and meaningful for your audience. If it was, you wouldn't beg so much. Your main goal is to get support at all costs. There's no denying that. That's why it appears so frequently in your content. But I think he covered that base at the end right there where he says, as long as he's okay doing what he does. Because he is okay begging. He's okay getting on his hands and knees and asking for every single dollar from your wallet. Because in his eyes, that's a totally acceptable thing to do as long as he gets one more pull and one more drink of gin.
Like, for example, the content that I put out 10, 15 years ago, I would not like today. You know, the stuff I used to do, the kind of commentary I used to do, all that stuff, I hated it. Now, I look at it and I cringe. But that's what was popular 10, 15 years ago. People wanted that immature, over-the-top, sexualized, generalized racist stuff. You know what I'm saying? Not to say that you would consider it racist, but just even making a joke about race. Back then, it was accepted. Today, it's not, right?
And it's a bold-faced lie to say that he hated doing the commentary that he did in his videos in the past. It's definitely cringe, it's definitely outdated, but for him to sit here and say that he hated doing it while he was doing it it's just a lie. Because if he truly hated doing it so much, he wouldn't have talked like that on the internet through text. If he really hated doing commentary like that, he wouldn't have been like that in real life with his friends that he was shooting videos with. He would have just been a normal person. But they all talked like that. They all made those jokes. And there's evidence of that if you go and watch those old East Coast custom videos where they're putting together the joysticks. Him, Howard, John Rambo, they all talk like that. They thought that that was the peak of comedy. And look, I get it. Sometimes with age and with time, you find different things funny and comedy changes. That's totally fine. But don't sit here and lie to me. Don't sit there and tell me that you didn't like doing the commentary that you were actively doing every single day nonstop. Because you're the only person in charge of your content. And wasn't it you that was saying that you weren't taking your content seriously till 2016, 2017? If you're doing a character or you're playing into a bit nonstop every single day for 6 years straight, that sounds pretty serious to me. But again, you didn't hate doing the commentary. That's who you were. That's what you thought was funny.
So when you take a look at everything in perspective, all right, today I'm much smaller. I make way less money. This is all true. And the majority of people who know me on the internet know me for negative memes that people have made fun of me with over the last 5 to 10 years. All of those statements are true. So if you wanted to say Darkside Phil is in a state of decline, you're correct. That is a factual statement. But if you want to say Darkside Phil is a failure, there's no factual justification to make that statement.
I know I didn't say this at the beginning of the video, but this is a completely different day's stream. My last video had 2 clips from the day prior to this. This is how he started the stream. He wanted to reiterate the title wasn't accurate, I guess, but we've already been through this. It's totally an apt title. Whether he wants to agree with it or not doesn't actually matter. Because I think if you ask the majority of people, they would call his business and what he does a failure. And if you ask me personally, anytime that you have to beg other people to make sure that you can pay your bills, you failed.
I am happy. I'm healthier now than I ever was, outside of maybe having a more receding hairline here, as you can see, because I'm getting older and there's nothing I can really do about that. Outside of that, I weigh less, right? I have less health problems, right? I told you guys I used to be depressed. I used to drink all the time and treat my body like a terrible way. I don't do that anymore, right? I eat way better. I'm happily married. I have a great home life, which I wish I could spend more time with my wife and my cat. You know, and on top of all of that, all right, I am happier today with the content that I put out than I ever was before.
Did you get all that down, you guys? He's not a failure because he's lost weight, he eats better, and now he's married. According to DSP, those are the things that make you not a failure. I guess it all depends on what your definition of success and failure are, but to me, those things aren't even something that I would take into consideration when considering whether or not I'm myself am a success or a failure. But whatever, it's a stupid semantic argument that doesn't matter anyway. It was dumb when he said it yesterday, it was dumb when he said it today.
When I sit down with you guys every day and we have this fun podcast, and we have a react show, and we have gameplay streams of various different kinds. One could be an action-based gameplay stream of multiplayer. One could be a chill stream where we interact and we talk a ton and we're playing a different style of game. No matter what content I'm putting out, I'm happy doing it. I'm actually having a great time. And people tell me there's a meaning behind that despite the fact that I'm not Mr. Popular on YouTube anymore, and I never will be again, because the kind of content that I put out is not in line with what YouTube wants. YouTube wants the drama, the clickbait, the viral stuff, play the hot new game, jump in with other streamers and do silly, nonsensical, immature content and pranks and all this crap. Just keep talking nonsense about people and you will be popular, right? I don't want to do any of that.
You say that you don't want to do any of that, but you keep playing the hot new games to get those day one views to hop on the trending train. You don't want to do any of that, but you keep name dropping other content creators and talking about drama nonstop, even though you claim that you're not. The only thing that you don't do in that list of things that you just mentioned is collaborate with other streamers and be entertaining. Which out of all of the things that you should probably do to make your channel better and more entertaining and therefore make you more money, that would be one of them. That would be like the main one, actually. Being enjoyable to watch is a hell of a start to being an entertaining YouTube channel.
I never wanted to, because for me, it never was about being YouTube popular. I stumbled accidentally upon YouTube popularity. It wasn't intentional. It wasn't by design. It just kind of happened. And then after doing that for about 5 years, I got tired of it. I wanted to change. I told you, by like 2016, dude, I was burnt out. I didn't even want to do the kind of content anymore, which is why I started a whole new channel called KO Gaming. And I tried to do something different for a whole year. And then in 2017, I became an interactive streamer, and I've never looked back. right? The last 6 years of content I put out, I guess at this point almost 7 years, has been way more meaningful in my opinion than anything I did beforehand. And that's the God's honest truth.
Whether it was his intent to blow up and be popular on YouTube or not, I don't think actually matters at all. What does matter is that he kind of did become popular and that he couldn't maintain it. Not because he didn't want to, but because he just could not. Because before he was even tired of it, before he made KO Gaming like he said he did, people were already turning on him. People already didn't like him. This is how you don't plays existed. Detractors existed. There was many videos of his fans saying that they were unsubscribing and where they were getting tired of his shit. His channel was on the decline well before KO Gaming. And even if it wasn't his intent to be popular on YouTube, he loved it. It was his favorite thing. It made him feel important. He flaunted that everywhere he could. He tried to take every advantage he could of the situation he found himself in, which I wish he would do now, because now he just looks at every opportunity and squanders it. Back then, he was throwing his name on fight sticks, trying to sell those. He made Project 7. He was trying to be some sort of creative actor style. He sold merch. He tried to go to conventions. Anytime he could put his name out there and potentially make more money, he absolutely tried to. And as much as I think that that content wasn't good and was actually trash, I at least respect the hustle because it's part of the game. But he said that he got tired of it. That's why he tried to do KO Gaming, and then he found out that he really wanted to be an interactive streamer, and this is way more meaningful. No, it's just way more easy for you, DSP, because you don't have to actually try and do anything anymore. You don't have to do any editing. You don't have to try and be funny. All you have to do is play a game and beg, and you still make the same amount of money. Well, not the same amount of money, but still enough money to pay all your bills and live the life of luxury that you live.
So, for me, I'm enjoying everything, and I have a viewer base that likes what I do. Sure, they may be much smaller than what I used to do, correct? But at least people are happy with me. They like the content, they watch the content, and they support the content, correct? So, that's the truth, and that's all that matters. It doesn't matter if you have 1,000 people who really like your stuff or 1 million people who kind of like your stuff because you're popular and they just casually watch it. It's all the same. As long as you're happy with what you're doing, you feel there's meaning to it, and hey, you make a living doing it, you're a success. All right? I'm not striving to be a giant YouTube success or anything like that. I never was. All right? And I hope you understand that.
Cope and see as much as you want, DSP. We all know that you wish you were popular so you could make as much money as you think that you deserve. That's why you constantly name drop anybody who's bigger and has more money than you because you're jealous of the amount of cash they have. That's all you care about. We're well aware. Keep coping, keep seething.
Now, earlier this year, with all this toxic nonsense about me all over the internet, I chose to do an interview, all right? And I shouldn't have, because I told you guys I'd actually decided not to do it. And then I kind of got goaded into one.
Quit lying, dude. You were not goaded into an interview at all. You wanted to do an interview. You were excited to do an interview. Not only had you talked about previously being interested in finally doing an interview with somebody and that you were trying to find the right person to do it, but then when it finally came time to do it, you hyped it up shortly before it happened, and then you showed up on the show and you genuinely seemed excited and happy to be there. It was only after you realized that they weren't interested in all your lies that the mood changed. And even then, after the interview actually ended, you were still satisfied with the way it went until the next day when you heard that they were reading the super chats that they were given. That's all they had done, was they read the super chats and they talked about what they had experienced talking to you. So don't lie, because nobody coaxed you into doing an interview. You were happy and excited to do it, and that only changed after the fact.
Which that's my fault, all right? And although the interview served its purpose, which was, if you ever want to hear about any of that nonsense and my answers to the nonsense, watch the interview. My answers are never going to change because those are my answers. That's my truth. I spoke it during the interview. And if you don't believe it, you don't have to. But that's what I had to say about those nonsensical topics. And I'm done talking about it. And in truth, it worked. Because since that interview, although a lot of people didn't believe it and or just made slander content out of it, at least the interview exists and it's done. Right? And we moved on. This year, I was able to move on and say, I'm not bringing that shit up anymore.
DSP seems to be very satisfied with the idea that he did a terrible interview and now there's a definitive place where you can go watch him lie straight through his teeth on camera. He's satisfied with that. He thinks that it's a good thing that this interview served that purpose. Because that's all that was really accomplished there, was you got to watch him try and lie his way through every single question and dodge everything. And be a coward when Keemstar came on. That was pretty cool, I guess. I don't know how he can be so delusional to think that the interview served any sort of positive purpose whatsoever.
We're going to be able to relax. We're going to be able to enjoy gameplay. You know what I'm saying? And we had a good year. A lot of that drama stuff went away. Now, there was more drama as more people tried to pull me into their vortexes of shit. You know, I tried to branch out a little bit. People have been telling me for years, why don't you do like a podcast with other YouTubers and stuff? And I had opportunity where I was contacted by other YouTubers. I didn't reach out to them. They reached out to me to say, hey, would you like to do a podcast show? And I said, yeah, I'd be interested in it. And we never really talked specifics or anything about it. And then what happens? It blows up in my face. Somehow I get to be made out to be like a villain or something, when in reality, I was just in talks about possibly doing a show, and they decided to go a different way because they wanted to make money, right? I didn't make that decision. They did.
And this is definitely some revisionist history, because it was originally Keemstar's idea to have all three of you do that show anyway. But somebody didn't want to work with Keemstar, whether it was just you or some of them. That was the issue. But it was still his idea that you guys were trying to take. And then when they finally started discussing the money, they realized that Keemstar was going to pay them a pretty penny to do it. So let's not act like this was some sort of original idea that they came up with and came to you with, and he was never involved, and it was just out of the blue that Keemstar was all of a sudden there. Because it was his goddamn idea, you thief.
You know? So that had nothing to do with me, but yet constantly being tried to pull into the vortex, constantly talking about me, constantly trying to say shit about me, right? To goad me to say things. This is what these people do because they have nothing else to do. They have no content. They have no validity to anything they do. They're only pertinent when they're causing drama. You get it? So they don't have a fan base of people who actually like find meaning. It's just, well, what's the next drama today that you're creating so we can laugh at it, right? It is this whole, it really is the lolcow culture of how do we cause problems for people so we can laugh at the problems we caused, right? I don't know how that's valid. I don't know why that's allowed on YouTube, but it is. It seems to me like pretty toxic, damaging, very harmful content. But it's allowed constantly for some reason.
It's always so cringe to me when he tries to act like he's better than anybody else. The dude will lie, cheat, and scam his way into any dollar possible. But because he thinks that he doesn't involve himself in any drama, which straight up just isn't true, he thinks that he's better than everybody else. Going as far as to say that he doesn't know why YouTube lets it on the platform and that he thinks it's toxic and damaging. If YouTube really decided to take a hard stance on drama and name dropping other content creators and things of the like, your ass would be gone in an instant. You would be one of the first people to go, I promise. And I don't say that because he's the most guilty of it, not by any means, but he's the most grating when he does it. Nobody likes when DSP does drama content. It's not entertaining in any fashion. It's just miserable and awful on the ears. It makes everybody upset all the time.
And I hate to say it, but you know, people keep trying to pull me in, and I this year have done my absolute best to resist, right? I've done my, after that interview, I was like, that's it. I'm not going to involve myself or my audience with this. Why? Because I don't want to bring people into this anymore. After that interview, I got so much feedback from my audience telling me, please don't do this stuff anymore. You know what I'm saying? We don't want to have anything to do with this because we like watching your positive content. We like watching fun stuff, right? That's what we want. We want gameplay. We want you reacting to fun clips from the internet. We want, chill streams. We don't want to hear about how the next person is insulting you and now you have to insult them back, and this personal insult about behind the scenes shit. None of this matters.
Yeah, it probably made them really uncomfortable to see their cult leader called out like that and caught in his web of lies. But they're so far into denial that they couldn't accept what the truth actually is. It's that you're a liar, that you were being tangled up in your web of lies, and that you looked bad. Instead, it just made them uncomfortable because they thought you were being ganged up on and mistreated. And that's how you want them to feel. That's why you constantly tell them how they should feel about detractor content, how they should react to things, what they should think when they see certain things. You've conditioned them to think like this so that you're never in the wrong, you're always in the right. So while it might not even be true that a lot of people gave you this feedback, shout out a lot of people in chat. Maybe they did because they're so indoctrinated at this point. And when I say they, I mean your true dents, not the LARPers in the chat. No respect for LARPers.
I still feel so bad because I know from like the months of like March, April, May, this was all drama that people were constantly embroiled in because of my bad decision, right? It wasn't until I'd say when Street Fighter 6 came out in June that finally we got that momentum back because there was so much going on in gaming and people wanted to see me play Street Fighter 6 and everything that it kind of went away, right? But now every once in a while, it rears its ugly head. Oh no, someone made a documentary about Phil. Oh no, someone's trying to talk shit about Phil on a show and all this and all that, all right? I commit to you, all right? I commit to all of you. I am going to do my absolute best to stay out of nonsense. So it's this simple, all right? Don't bring it up because I have nothing to say about any of their drama and their crap.
I mean, obviously he has nothing to say on the subject. That's why we're only halfway through the clip and he's already gone on for 13 minutes after being sped up. Again, this whole rant is 39 minutes long clipped. So we're about 14, 15 minutes into the rant at normal speed. And he's just now in the middle of the rant saying he has nothing to say about it. Quit bringing it up. That's the end of the discussion. And that's just the classic DSP behavior. He'll tell you how much he doesn't care about something or how he's not trying and it doesn't matter. But that's all he wants to talk about. That's all he's got on his mind. That thing that he apparently doesn't care about at all.
The reason that they are trying to talk about me is to get a rise out of me, which then in turn gives them more content. You understand? They want to find something that they think is going to get my goat, is going to incense me, is going to get me so angry or agitated, right? That then I'm going to respond in a negative way and I'm going to give them the attention they want because it's a vicious circle. If I respond, now they have something else to talk about. They have more content to respond to. And again, that's exactly what happened with the side scrollers earlier this year with that interview.
And that's exactly what's happening right now as we're 14 minutes into your rant and we're only halfway through. I don't understand how he's not seeing that this is exactly what people wanted. I don't understand how he's completely missing what's happening. It's like he just can't help himself. Because deep down, DSP is clearly just as much a drama hound as everybody else on the internet. He just likes to pretend that he's not so he can act superior about it.
They made a really toxic, negative show the day after the interview. And it worked because not only did it stir up all my haters, but then I responded to it and now they have more content. And then they have more content. And all year they tried to goad me. Every once in a while, let's bring them up again. Let's poke them again. Let's keep poking them and see if we can get them to say something so now we can have a whole show.
I mean, it's one of the biggest things that they've ever done. It will probably remain that way. And you're never going to do anything about it or say anything back. So why wouldn't they keep poking at you? There's no repercussions for it. If it brings them attention and it brings them money, it's just free money to them. DSP, you should be sympathetic to their plight. You love free money.
I mean, there was a show, no exaggeration. One morning, someone had casually mentioned to me something about the interview again, and I had mentioned it again or whatever. That day, Stuttering Craig sat on his stream. He had no content to do that day. Nothing. So instead, he sat on his stream and said, I'm going to sit on my stream until Darkside Phil invites me to his show. What? First of all, when do I have guests on any of my shows? It was a gameplay stream day for me. I hadn't spoken to him. Why would he be on my show?
Because when you talked about them that morning, you talked all sorts of crazy shit about them, about how they only had you on to make money and it was all about the money and that's why they did it on their stream, this, that, and the other. So he told you during the interview and he told you then, and that's why he sat on his stream waiting for you, because he said he would go to your stream. He would put that money in your pocket to prove that it was not about the money and that instead it was actually about talking to you and confronting you and calling you out on your bullshit. Now, I don't agree that it was a good look for him. I honestly think it looked pretty desperate. He should have just moved on with his day and kept calling you names. But don't sit here and act confused when you knew exactly what he was doing. You knew exactly what he was asking for and what he was trying to prove, and you didn't give it to him because that's exactly what it would have done. It would have proven that he was right. Instead, you just acted like a coward, like you always do, because you're a coward.
But you see what I mean? And guess what? Idiots showed up to watch him sit there and do nothing. It's what I mean. They literally name dropping me can give these people attention. You understand? Which is hilarious because I'm nobody. I'm not a big prominent guy anymore. I haven't been in many, many years.
No, but it's completely ironic that you would be upset with people getting any sort of notoriety from name dropping you. When you're king name drop, you name drop everybody under the sun. Anybody that you slightly don't even like their content, you're telling everybody exactly what the problem is with it and why they shouldn't be as popular as they are and why it should be you instead. Except recently when it would have been convenient for everybody else if you actually did name drop a content creator, those ones that you were watching their streams and saying how much worse they were than yours. But of course, the only reason that you didn't name drop anybody there is because you didn't want anybody to actually go to those streams that you were watching and actually compare and contrast it with your content because you knew you were talking out of your ass.
I'm just someone who likes to stay in his lane and play games and chill with my audience, and that's it. I want nothing to do with this documentary, this podcast, this drama, this crap, this nonsense, and all of this, right? So it's funny because now this documentary just came out about me again. And people are like, are you gonna react to it? No. I promised you guys, right, that I would stay out of it. That you guys don't want me to jump back down that rabbit hole because all that's going to happen, it's going to bring more drama, more nonsense, more negativity, more toxicity, and it's going to derail us from the stuff we love doing. Instead of sitting here and playing games and enjoying what we're doing and having a good time together, it's going to be constant, oh, this person said this about you, this person said this about you, this is bringing it up, this is bringing it up, right? So that's why I'm not doing that, right?
Well, DSP, you've gone back on many promises that you've made to your audience before. So let's not act like this would be a new concept. I mean, you did just bail on that Halloween event that you were supposed to do at the end of October. You know, for Halloween. So let's not act like promising your viewers actually means anything to you. And you literally got paid to make Project 7 again, which you didn't do. So we can just add that to the list of things that you were supposed to do for your audience and then didn't. And I can say it till I'm blue in the face. This whole making a promise that you're not going to do any drama has already been broken. You were never going to do that because you talk about drama every single week, nonstop.
And listen, I get it. Drama can be fun, correct? It can be. Every once in a while, you want to razz someone, you want to make a joke. That I understand. I don't mind the fact that people bring up the name DSP or Darkside Phil in a razzing way all the time. People mention my accident. People bring up something stupid that I did, you know, at one point. They bring up the dumb memes. All of that doesn't matter. It's just stupid, right? It doesn't affect my content. I get to keep making what I love, and my audience doesn't give a shit about that stuff.
Oh no, buddy, you actually care 100%. That's why you block anybody and everybody on Twitter who's basically ever mentioned you. You're absolutely terrified of anybody who knows of you in a joking manner.
But where it becomes hurtful is when someone's entire agenda is to basically tear someone down for personal gain, right? Obsessed to the level of obsession, correct? That's where it gets dangerous. And there are people out there who are absolutely obsessed with me because they feel that they could get something more out of it if they were to keep bugging me and doing shit, that they could get something out of it, whether it's more content for their channels, whether it's attention, whether, again, get me to name drop them and or say something so now they have another topic to talk about today, right?
If he's talking about the detractor channels as a general thing, I just don't think that that's true because the detractor channels are going to continue to exist and make content on you daily anyway. Because they don't need to harass you. They don't need to do anything because all they're doing is point and laughing at normal you anyway. There doesn't have to be some special arc for people to point and laugh at you. If he's talking about people like Keemstar, Keemstar doesn't give a shit whether or not he has content to make. He just likes to mess with you because it's funny. At least I think that's why he's doing it, because he's petty and he likes to piss people off. That's what he does. He doesn't care about the money anymore. Why would he?
So there you go. So with all that being said,
hey, shout out that being said, unrelated, when's my episode, guys? Come on.
all right, that's why, if you're wondering, well, I don't get it. Phil is really missing out on an opportunity right now. A documentary just came out about him. He can easily react to it. He'd make tons of views and money. I don't care. I don't care. I'm not about making the views and the money. I'm not. I'm about enjoying the content I'm putting out, covering the games. It's the busiest gaming time of the year. Why do I care about people making drama content now? Why would I ever, right?
He's so concerned about his bottom line dollar amount every single day on stream, constantly talking about support, constantly asking for more support, more tips, more members. But the second that he has an opportunity to actually cash in on something entertaining and get more support, more members, more viewers, more this, more that, more push in the algorithm, he absolutely squanders it and isn't interested in doing it at all. I mean, that shit just doesn't add up to me. How are you going to sit there and beg your fans every single day to put money in your pockets, but the second that you can make money on your own and actually do something that will make people want to watch you, you just spit in its face?
If we're bored and there's nothing else going on, right, and we have some time to kill, you know, maybe it's worth a look. That's not what we're doing right now. You know, we're in the midst of the busiest gaming season. I'm behind on games because I was sick. Now is not the time to drop everything to start talking about bullshit.
Yeah, but those games are always going to be there. You can always go back and finish those. They're not actively running away from the Snort fort. I know that your den-headed audience is only interested in video games the first week they're out, but that's not normal and should be rectified elsewhere. This is an opportunity that is actually going to go away because in 6 months, when you finally take a look at this Turkey Tom documentary and it's not hot anymore, you're going to be upset. This is what you guys wanted. You asked for this. Where are you now? And nobody's going to be there. Of course they're not, because you missed the opportunity, because you didn't get on it while it was hot, because you're too slow to do anything.
You know what I mean? There's people out there who right this moment, I'm not kidding you. There's, let me put it this way, because here's the thing. For every one thing I tell you guys publicly, you can assume there's 10 times more than that going on behind the scenes, but I'm purposefully not mentioning it. And that goes for literally everything I say. I'm serious about that too. I'm not exaggerating. Every time I mention, oh, here's one little thing that happened, there's probably 10 times more going on behind the scenes that I'm not bringing up. So what do you guys know about? Well, you know there's a documentary. You know there's people trying to pull me into shows and stuff to try to get attention for themselves. For those public things you know about, there's about 10 times more going on behind the scenes of people trying to get my attention, trying to get me to interact with them, trying to get something out of me. It's happening constantly. All right? From every avenue possible, I get bombarded on a daily basis by fucking people trying to pull me into shit. I wish that was a lie or an exaggeration. I really wish it was, but it's not.
Okay, but it doesn't actually matter. You're a public figure, DSP. Of course, people are going to be trying to talk to you, get your attention, pull you into things, DMing you on Twitter. Nobody cares. It comes with the territory. There's very seldom time that these things actually matter, and it seems to be like you talk about the ones that are actually important. All those other ones are superfluous. They don't matter. Nobody cares. Nobody's asking to hear about those. No one wants to hear about every single DM that you get, especially the ones from Derek, please. So you can quit throwing your pity party, because nobody wants to hear that shit.
All right. So I just want you guys to understand that it takes a lot of effort when you constantly are being bombarded by people from every direction. And just, the funny part is some people are really nice. Oh, well, we're going to be nice to you and we'd like to give you an opportunity if you would do this with us or come on our show with us and do this. And then some people are outright nasty. If you don't do this, we're going to do this to you. And if you don't do this, we're going to threaten you with this and that. It's just crazy. It's crazy how people behave differently to try to get what they want. And they never do. Because if you haven't noticed, guess what? I don't involve myself in any of it. Have you seen me involved in any of that shit?
I mean, DSP, you are inadvertently bringing yourself into it right now by talking about it for this long. So much so that I had to make a video about it because it needed to be addressed because it was actually ridiculous that you went on for this long to begin with. So you can sit there and act all smug and throw your shoulders up in the air like, oh, I really proved them, but you've proved nothing, but you're an idiot. Congratulations, I guess.
No, because I refuse to. I'm not going to become a toxic person, a drama person. I refuse. I very well could. I could change all my content right now to be just like these other fucking people. And I could easily tear them down, just like they try to tear me down constantly. But I don't play that game. I don't want to. That's not who I am. I wouldn't be happy being that kind of person for YouTube because I don't like hurting other people regardless of if I get over doing it or not.
But I'll say it for the 100th time, DSP, you do make drama content. You know you do. Quit lying. But you couldn't do it like them because that would actually require you to put in some sort of effort. You might even actually have to edit your videos to be entertaining to a larger audience. And heaven forbid you actually have to put any effort into the content that you make. I mean, the dude doesn't even own editing software. How could he edit a video? Like DaVinci Resolve isn't free or something.
At one point, I'll be honest, when I was younger and more immature, I did find pleasure in that. I did. Tearing down others. You can feel good about yourself by tearing down others around you. You can do that. And I've felt that personally. I have felt that in my heart is that sometimes if you're someone bigger than you, more popular than you, and you can find a way to tear them down and cause them misery, you feel a level of like enjoyment out of it. I don't know what it is. Maybe something with the human condition where you enjoy seeing people get hurt. I don't know. It's kind of messed up, right? And I know because I've had that feeling before.
And that's just cringe to begin with. You should feel bad for that because that's embarrassing. You tearing other people down and making fun of them to make yourself feel better is cringe. Now, tearing other people down to laugh at them because it's funny and it makes you laugh is a completely different story. And that's what we're here for, folks. We're here for the lulz. I don't need to laugh at some old man on the internet to make me feel better, to make me feel like my life actually means something, because I actually do things in my real life that mean things. This is just fun to be had.
But as I grow older and I get more mature, I don't want to do that. I would much rather be a person who, like, everyone can live and let live, and everyone can live and get by, and we don't all have to stomp on everyone else around us to get ahead. Like, there's enough going around. There's enough people on this planet. There's enough space on YouTube for everyone to coexist, and then not have to constantly be at each other's throats to get over. You know what I'm saying?
He says this, but not a couple of days ago, somebody brought up the Toby Turner drama from way back in the day. You know, when he was on a Madden commercial and it was advertising his YouTube channel, and DSP called him a direct competitor. DSP sees and talks about every single content creator on the YouTube platform as direct competitors. So it's just nonsense when he says that he thinks that there's enough space for all of them. If that's the case, then why do you constantly talk about everybody else's content and compare it to yours and act like yours is far superior? Where is the live and let live in that, DSP? But of course, I know and you know that he's just talking out of his ass because he's saying the things that he thinks will make him sound more mature, more respectable, like he's actually a good person.
I don't want to be that kind of person. So that's why I stay out of this shit. I want nothing to do with it at all. I want absolutely no involvement in any of their shit. I just want to be left alone and left out and do my own stuff for my audience. And that's all I aspire to. And again, that's why when I see a documentary and the name of the documentary is 10 Years of Failure, it's like, now you could say 10 years of decline. You could say 10 years of, of falling out of prominence. 10 years of ridicule. All of that makes sense. 10 years of failure? How is that a failure that I'm happier today than I've ever been? I make content that I want to make. I stay out of drama because I don't want to hurt people. Right? How is that failure?
Semantic garbage. I'm not even talking about it. Mods, crush his skull.
I don't know how anyone could justify that and say it's failure. My business is still working and running. I'm still making a living doing it. I still love what I do. So how is that a failure, right? But if you're someone who's desperate for content and you constantly have to rip other people apart to have that content, I would argue that's more of a failure than anything else. If all you can do is rip other people apart to make $1, you're a bigger failure than someone who's way smaller than you but loves what they do and doesn't hurt anyone to make that living.
But DSP, it's probably the content that they enjoy making. It gives them a living. That's the content that they want to do for their audience. Their audience finds it meaningful. Hell, the content creator might even be losing weight, dude. He might be eating better. How the hell are you going to tell somebody else that they're more of a failure than you when it's not even true based on your own criteria here? That's why you trying to change the definition of what success and failure looks like as far as a YouTube channel is concerned is a waste of everybody's time because it doesn't make any sense when applied to any sort of situation.
That's my take, and you can disagree with that, and that's perfectly fine. You know what I mean? You know, and by the way, because some people are saying, oh, now he's ripping up Turkey Tom the documentarian. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm not even speaking about him. I'm saying all these people out there who say shit like that, who say that, oh, you're just a failure and all that. I'm not a failure. I'm happy with who I am. That's a success in life. I used to be depressed when I was bigger on YouTube. I was a depressed mess. I was drinking. I was unhealthy. I hated myself, and I was only getting by pumping out millions of videos a day. You know what I mean? Okay, maybe not millions, but you understand what I'm saying. Like, that was a miserable existence. Today, I'm happy. So that's not being a failure, right? Nothing is falling apart. The sky's not falling, and we're having a good time. So how can you say that that's a failure? It's just, it's misinformation for the sake of clickbait, and it's prominent on YouTube. So I'm not surprised, you know? I'm not surprised.
It's not misinformation at all. But DSP is also the king of not being able to communicate effectively with other human beings. He constantly misuses sayings and words, and it makes it completely incomprehensible to the average person. For example, what person on planet Earth thinks that when you tell them that you're being honest with them, that you just mean you're being serious? Not that you're actually being honest and telling the truth, just that you're being serious. You want to talk about misleading misinformation? This is it right here, champ. You don't know how to effectively communicate, so I'm not going to take your definition on words. When you think that gobsmacked is actually godsmacked, like you just don't know words.
But I'm not going to get myself pulled into that vortex. You're not going to see me reacting to the documentary. No, I don't care that every day there's people trying to pull me in. They're going to be talking about you on this show. They're going to want you on this show and this. I don't care. I don't care. It doesn't matter what they say. It's all white noise to me. It's just the same shit that I've heard for the last 10 years of people trying to pull me into their drama vortexes. And I told you back earlier this year, I learned my lesson. I've stayed out of all of that shit. And we've had a good year this year. Let's stay on that track, okay? Okay, so that's why, you know, why I still bring this up today? Because look what's going on. The documentary just released. Everyone's talking about it and wants me to talk about it. I have nothing to say.
Again, he has nothing to say. He had nothing to say 10 minutes ago, but he's got nothing to say now, too. It's like we're looping here. And he also said that he had nothing to say on it the day prior, and literally in my last video, he wasn't interested in talking about it. That's why he was talking about it then, too. So he really has so much to say about something that he doesn't care about and also claims to have nothing to say on the matter.
I'm not going to watch it. I don't have time for it. You know what I mean? Again, I'm not slamming it. I haven't seen it. You can't slam something that you haven't seen. I learned my lesson in that regard from back in the day when I used to make fun of people who play Minecraft, right? I used to slam it constantly. And when I finally played it, I was like, oh, I get it now. Well, that was really stupid that I slammed it. I used to make fun of the Down the Rabbit Hole documentary. Oh, anyone who makes a documentary about me is terrible. Then I actually watched it, and I was like, it wasn't ill-intentioned. You could tell that there was some misinformation in it. But it wasn't ill-intentioned at all, and I have no ill will towards Frederick Knudsen because I actually feel like he was trying to do a legit documentary about me at that time, you know? So I don't know. I haven't seen the documentary. This is a new one. I don't care to. I don't want to get toxic again. I'm trying to stay away. So I hope that people understand that. And even Turkey Tom, I hope he understands that. It's not a slight against him that I don't want to watch his documentary. I promised my audience that this year I would stay out of the drama shit. And I am going to stick to that commitment. I'm not going to go back on it all of a sudden because there's a chance for personal gain. Okay?
And some of you in the comments on my last video were saying that 100% he already watched it. His ego wouldn't let him not watch it. He's lying through his teeth. And that might be the case. Maybe not for the first clip in that video because that clip was from the stream that started about 45 minutes after that doc even came out. So I doubt that he actually saw it in that amount of time. But maybe he saw it during his break before the Mario part of that video. But I really try not to assume things about the guy that I don't have actual concrete evidence for if possible. And I understand that's not always the case. I don't actually have concrete concrete evidence other than his bank leaks about his drinking problem, about WWE champions. But I really try and go based off entirely what he says. I try and take him at his word because, again, even if you take him at his word on things, it doesn't matter. He still looks and sounds stupid. He makes a fool out of himself by himself. All you have to do is try and follow his train of logic, and instantly you see all of the flaws. It's all topsy-turvy, upside down all the time.
So, thank you for understanding. And again, you know, there's other stuff going on right now, people trying to pull me into their toxic shit, and I'm absolutely positively not going to pay attention to it. I don't care. I really don't give two shits what's said. I don't give a fuck. I'm going to say as clearly as possible to the entire internet right now. I don't care. All right? You can say whatever you want about me. You can say as much nonsense. You can bring it all up. It's this simple. I'm happy with where I am in my life right now. Everything, you know, is good. So I'm not going to allow anyone to try to sour that for me or my audience with their own bullshit and nonsense. It doesn't matter who you're talking to, what you're saying about me. None of it matters. It's all nonsense.
We really are looping. This is the third time we're getting the I don't care, it's all nonsense, I promised my audience speech. But I do think that he's directly referring to Keemstar there when he says that I don't care who you're talking to, because this was after the Keemstar tweet talking about that she's coming on the podcast or whatever.
That simple, all right? So don't come to my streams bringing it up. Don't try to derail this shit. You know what I'm saying? If I see it, it's gone. That's always been the rule. But, you know, recently I've been lax because I understand we get new people coming in all the time and they don't know what's going on. So they say, hey, Phil, do you know someone made a documentary about you? Do you know this or that? You know, I'm not going to say, well, let's just start outright banning every single person in the chat who fucking brings that up. I don't want to do that because there's people who don't know that. But at the same time, it's always been a rule that I don't talk about that shit because there's no point to it, right? I've got stuff to do. I've got games to play. I got a react show. I basically got to get back on track after being derailed because I was sick. I got shit to do. I don't have time for all the other nonsense of everyone else around me. They could do whatever they want. I can't stop them. I don't really care.
You gotta love how he says that he has things to do, like playing video games, like that actually means anything. But also his job is to talk to his community and his chat when he's playing the video game. So whatever they're talking about is pretty much what he should be talking about, isn't it? So that doesn't make any sense.
But, you know, they're looking for their you know, their stupid blip, their stupid blurb, the next thing they could talk about that Phil mentioned. You're not getting it. I don't care. You know, I'll just say right now, I don't even want to hear about any of it. All right? I literally don't want to hear about any of it. I don't care. These people they don't exist to me, you know?
Hey guys, did you know that DSP doesn't care? Did he tell you that he doesn't care yet? Did that come across that he doesn't care? If I wasn't actively looking at the screen, I would have thought that the video started over at this point because he's just on loop.
I got shit to do. All right? So thank you for understanding. Thanks for listening to the segment. Had a little something to get off my chest here today. And now we can move on positively and not have to focus on nonsense that people are constantly trying to pull me into. I'm just done with it. And, you know, don't want to hear it. Sticking to my guns. Sticking to what I promised and committed to you earlier this year.
So Phil's done talking about it. He said, thanks for listening to the segment. That's the end of it. We're going to move on positively. He's sticking to his guns. It is what it is. He doesn't care.
Because people are right. Well, I can't believe Phil's not going to address this and that. No, you can't believe it. Then you're deaf. I've been telling you all year I was done with it, right? So that's why.
Sorry, I lied. We're totally not done. He's obviously going to double back and start talking about it again. I did cut out the part, though, where he starts talking about his shirt collar being uneven because, honestly, I just don't give a shit, and neither do you. And if you did, you don't now because I said so. Sorry.
All right. So we're going to move on to the next segment of the show, but I have to blow my nose. All right? So if you can bear with me for a second, I'm going to blow my nose. But before I do, to end the segment, all right? No drama anymore. You know, as it has been all this year. I stayed out of it on purpose. I'm not going back on that now. Doesn't matter who's making a documentary, who's bringing up bullshit and saying nonsense and, you know, threatening me with shit, because that's the other thing, too. Constant people threatening me and saying stuff.
God, sometimes he's just the ugliest person on the planet. People weren't threatening me the way he gets into the microphone. Oh my God, what an insufferable bastard. But it is really funny to me that he takes every tweet that Keemstar sends his way as a direct threat. I don't even think there was anything vaguely threatening in Keemstar's last tweet. All he said was that some lady was going to come on the LolCow live show and DSP wasn't going to like it. There's no threat there. Just stating a fact that somebody's coming on the show that he might know.
I literally sit here and all I do is play video games and enjoy relaxing with you guys on a daily basis. What am I doing to warrant threats against me exactly? What have I, right? What have I done? Who am I really a threat to that you're threatening me, right? Are you really that threatened by my existence?
No, DSP, nobody is threatened by your existence. You're being delusional again. They don't have to be threatened by you in order for them to threaten you in the first place. That's just stupid. Besides, how could anybody be threatened by a 41-year-old alcoholic man with extreme muscle atrophy?
Just think about how crazy that is. I am just a little Joe nobody on the internet with of stream following of a few hundred people. A few thousand people watch my videos on YouTube every day, right? Very small time, correct? But I'm happy with who I am. There are people out there that I live rent-free in their heads that they have to constantly bring me up and try to pull me into their drama. What is that about exactly? That really drives me nuts. How exactly does that... I just don't understand it. How am I involved in any of it? How am I important enough? Why would you even bring me up? It just...
For fun, you bozo. Everybody has a good time clowning you. That's why they constantly bring you up and point out all of your flaws and every lie that you tell. Because it's fun to do. For some people, it is more complicated than that. Some people do take it more seriously than that, but not everybody.
I just don't get it. I really don't, right? That someone would actively, like threaten me publicly repeatedly. Threaten me. I'm going to do this to him. I'm going to do that to him. Haha. What? What? For what reason? Exactly. What have I done? What could I possibly do to you that you're making public threats against me? I'm a no one. You know? It doesn't make any sense. It's like, it's to the level of obsession, unhealthy mental mania that some of these people act on. It's just bizarre behavior. And quite frankly, a lot of these people probably need interventions. Because if you're that obsessed with a nobody like me, you got problems, man.
Oh god, shut up. It's just cringe. This is harkening back to when you said that Evil AJ needed the white coats to come get him because he made a "this is how you don't play" of your content. Sorry, DSP, as a public figure, everybody's allowed to critique you however they see fit. And you don't get a say in it whatsoever. You can think whatever you want, but you're just being ignorant and stupid. But it's definitely cringe to even insinuate that somebody needs to be locked away or needs some sort of mental intervention because they like to laugh at you online.
You should be moving on to other more important things that's going to actually get you some kind of level of attention or interest. No one, I'm like yesterday's topic. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not a prominent dude. You know, Turkey Tom making this documentary about me will get him a little bit of attention, but certainly him doing documentaries on other topics is going to be way more popular than anything covering me. I'm no one, man. Nobody cares, you know?
I mean, you can say that all you want, but there's an entire detractor sphere that now knows the name Turkey Tom because of one documentary that he did, because I'm sure a lot of those people didn't know who he was beforehand.
Just my audience of people who've been with me along the way. I'm so happy to have that dedicated audience that have been with me through all these times and all this drama bullshit, and they understand who I am and where I come from, and they just want to relax with me, right? That's what it's all about, you know? So, it's just crazy to me that anyone would care. You would think, with the way that people talk about me and behave around me, that I'm like some insanely polarizing, toxic dude who every day on stream, all I'm doing is constantly causing drama and insulting people and saying inflammatory things and fucked up things.
Because that's exactly what happens every single day. You'd be lying to say that it wasn't. Constantly deriding your audience, constantly begging, constantly calling them out and publicly humiliating them, constantly name dropping other content creators, going out of your way to talk about on your day off, watching other people's content and calling it bad. Every news topic you cover on DSPN is something negative that you want to get irate and angry about. And of course, as always, I'm responding to this clip the day after it happened, so I watched the podcast from today, and I think that he spent 30 to 45 minutes talking about how the Game Awards are absolutely horrible, and they don't make any sense, and they're not objective, and they're stupid, and the wrong people are voting on them, and the wrong games get voted in. He couldn't find a positive thing to say about them at all. And I want to self-correct because I know that I just called it a podcast, and we all know that it's actually just a pre-stream. That's my bad. Mea culpa, mea culpa.
It couldn't be further from the truth, you know? With the stuff that we do every day is fun. It's fun gameplay, being silly, razzing games. Yesterday I had fun yelling at the netcode of Modern Warfare 3. You know what I mean? Today we'll have fun laughing at clips from the internet. It's a good time. It's not anything ill-intentioned or anything that you would think would get anyone upset. But these people get upset. I don't know why. I can't understand it. All right? Anyway, now allow me to blow my nose and then we'll move on.
He introduced blowing his nose 4 minutes ago and then proceeded to continue to rant anyway. Amazing. But that's gonna do it for today's video. Hopefully you all enjoyed this little part 2 to the Turkey Tom thing featuring Keemstar. And as usual, this extra long clip was brought to you today by Snort Hogan. So of course, big ups to Snort Hogan for the clip. I really appreciate it. Thank you. And of course, thank all of you guys for watching, especially if you've made it this far. I really do appreciate it. Hopefully I'll catch all of you guys in the next video. But until then, make sure that you check out other detractor channels and dive deeper into that Snort text.